Hello, hello.
We're back. We're doing
We're
it.
back.
Episode 16.
It's
I love
crazy.
it. We're doing it. Who would have thought we'd have made it this far?
Everyone, we're relentless. Are you kidding me?
I
We
know.
can't not. It's relentless.
Yeah, that makes sense. Of course we made it this far. It was never an option.
Really wasn't. Today we're going to be talking about not wasting your time trying to be balanced or chasing after balance. And so I have a question. This is Taylor's favorite topic.
I love this topic so much. I can't wait. But first, your question.
First, my question. Okay, so when is a time that no, that's not my question. Just kidding. Scratch that. I wish I had like a wicka wicka, like
I'm gonna make that happen for sure.
a scratch board. Okay, that's not my question. But my question is, what is one thing you feel like you have like a big idea? You're always like, I'm gonna fit this into my schedule, and then you like have all the good intentions, and then it doesn't actually consistently or ever actually get there. Do you have anything like that? Because there's like a lot. I'm like so curious. Like,
I should ask you that question.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty like regimented. Let me think. This is great because this is actually why I love this topic, because I think that chasing balance is what creates this like effect for so many people. We'll get to that later, but like this is actually like at the root of like, there's always these things that we're like not getting to, or we feel like we're like jumping from fire to fire, like not, and it's because we're chasing this like fallacy. Yeah, that's a good question. There are certainly some like deficits. I'll be honest. I don't know that I feel like that on like any given day. Like I get everything done that I set out to do.
I hate you so much. I'm leaving this podcast right now. I am done. I am walking away. We couldn't be more different, Taylor.
Well, our scenarios are different, right? Like, I don't have kids. That's a big one. And I'm aware of that. Like, I have full control over my destiny every single day. Like, there's no input that comes into my life that I don't control. And with kids, that's not a real thing. And I'm very aware of that. So, but there are. So yeah, what is that for you? I honestly don't think I'm the best person to answer that question, because I'm an outlier. Like I'm very aware, like that is not most people's reality. Like as much as I do love, I think there are massive opportunities for all of us and the language that we use around our like quest for balance. I recognize that my scenario and my reality is not commonplace. I have literally built my life and made decisions in my life to support how I live my life every day. And those are my choices and those are my decisions. They are not everyone's, and that's not most people's reality. One of the things I care most about is productivity and routine. So I've literally made choices about my family to support that. But that's not, I have certainly enough awareness to know that's not commonplace. So let's turn it back. We do the wiki thing, but then we'll like spin it back to you.
I love the sound effects. Oh, who would have thought? Yeah, no, I feel like that. I feel the complete opposite. There's like, I and Emily I'm gonna name drop Emily. She's amazing. She's on our TEC team. If you don't know what that is, then you should check out our Taylor's other podcast. I'm gonna do a shameless plug, which is endurance minded. But I've been working with her on my own personal health, and it's been fantastic. But she sent me this like super easy workout, which I really love. And also, I'm like, it's really easy. Like, there's no weights. My back's been messed up, so I can't do any weights. And she was like, she put in my thing, and I was like, great, I'm going to do it 7 times today. It's like really easy stuff. And then she's like, okay, overachiever. Like, that was what she reflected back to me. I was like, is it overachieving? It's just like a great way to break up like me sitting. And then at the end of the day, she's like, how'd your 7 times go? I was like, I got 2. I got fucking 2. There was no 7. Like, the like call went over. Like, I was like trying to get a post out. And of course, like, had to make a visual that I wasn't like planning on making. Like, it was just all the things. So like I got to the end of my day and I was like, I did it twice. And instead of celebrating that I did it twice instead of 0, and I did break up my day 2 times instead of no times, I'm like then mad at myself because I didn't get it done. And like there's all of these things that I just like want to accomplish, that it just like there's too many things. I always say I'm not forgetful. I just have too much to remember.
That's fair.
And like people are like, did you remember? I'm like, I don't know. If it's not on my calendar, if it's not in my notes, like it's not, it's gone. It just doesn't live here because there's just too much shit happening all at once. So yeah, it's the complete opposite. Like, it's all the things. Like, I want a cold plunge twice a day. I typically only get once. I want to like, there's so many things. I just like want to do all the things. I think that's probably what it is too, is like you don't want to do that many things. You're kind of
Yeah.
like
Well, I
a
mean,
grumpy
it's
old man
well,
that doesn't do anything. And so you're just like, I did all the things.
well, yeah, maybe some of that. Also, you and I have talked about this. Like, and I'm not. This is not like a critique of you, but like, I'm also really clear on like what I say no to, and
Yeah.
so I'm also not interested in like in inviting in lots of noise, and lots of opportunities that will ultimately set me up for failure, right? Like, I'm very aware of the time that I have. I can't cold plunge twice a day. That's not going to happen. So I'm going to set myself up so my goal is 5 days a week. That's how I define success. And so, I'm also like very regimented in how I define success, and then knowing how to like back into like expectations around that, right? So that's what keeps me from feeling that way too, is that like I never have those expectations to begin with. Now again, I'm not saying that I couldn't do more, that like your approach is wrong, but I'm just like very, very thoughtful about what I like. People are like every day, like I'm looking at my phone right now. I have like 30 text messages of people being like, let's do that. Like, it's all going to be no, no, I'm not going. I'm not going to be like, I have other things, right? And it's not that I don't want to go or that it wouldn't be fun. It's that I've intentionally prioritized other ways to spend my time. Right. So I don't feel pulled in lots of directions because I'm very clear on like where my time gets allocated. Um, and to your point, it's like 3 things. It's work, exercise, and my wife. And then I go sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Day is done. Rinse and repeat forever and always. um, and I do think, like, to the balance conversation, I do think that is part of it, is to get really clear on like what your priorities are, not you, but like all of us. And not saying I've mastered it, but one of the things that keeps us feeling out of balance is the relentless pursuit of more things.
Yeah.
The reality is that we should just focus on, in my opinion, really showing up in a few key areas of our life and watch how fulfilled we feel when we feel like we're crushing it in like a few areas, versus feeling shitty about all the areas because we're running ourselves ragged trying to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's why it's frustrating. That's why we're like, oh, I need more balance. Oh, no, you don't need more balance. You need less shit on your plate. You need to say no to more things
Totally.
so that you can do the things that you want to do really well. That starts with understanding what your priorities are, getting really fucking clear on like where you allocate your time. Because the fact of the matter is, no one has enough time. That's a finite and highly limited resource. You better fight like hell for where that time goes, or it's going to go to the wrong things, and you're going to feel like you're always dropping the ball. And that's where most people live. They're like, nope, I finished the day and like, I didn't do the things I wanted to do. I didn't allocate my time or invest my time in the areas that I wanted to. And that you go to bed frustrated and you wake up, as my granddad always says, you wake up with your hair on fire and the cycle starts all over again, right? You're always behind the eight ball. I think that largely starts with prioritizing and expectation setting and then defining success very clearly and then get really good at saying no. You know, it's like, it's not that I have less on my plate. I just say no a lot more than most people, I think. Um,
Which
and
mean that you have less on your plate, like which would mean that there's less to manage because you're saying no to lots of things.
mm-hmm.
So like
Yeah.
which I think is like is a super great point. I also think that and I think that that's why you've had a lot of success and that like expectation mapping, like that practice is like the Taylor special. Um like you do that really well. Um but I think it's also like for me, I can't like get rid of one of my kids, right? Like and that's something that like you can't always manage. Like I try to and like I feel like as a mom, I have done a pretty good job of it. And not like just letting my kids be the ruler of my schedule, which I watch a lot of other parents like, oh, the baby's routine and the thing. And I'm like, nope, that's not happening. Like the baby gets to be on my routine. Like that's not I'm not going to like be a prisoner to my baby. Like that doesn't and then if you start like that then you're not a prisoner to your teenager, right? Like they don't run your world. So I also feel like there's that, but I think that like the thing that's helped me is I'm always like gonna shoot for the stars and probably like what's that saying shoot for the stars and at least you'll hit the moon or something. I don't know. I'm really bad at
Something like that.
whatever the
I know
heck
what you're talking about. I can't remember it exactly. I'm just gonna screw it up, but yeah.
you like hit the sky. I don't know. You guys probably know it and you're like, oh sweet Jesus. But I think that like I have I've lived my life like that, like shooting for the stars and then being mad that like I didn't hit them the first time and then like trying again. I think it's more about that. It's like what's helped me is not shifting into shame or shaming myself when it's not 7 times, right? Like when it's only to the reframe there and being able to reframe because to integrate new things into my schedule, I have to like figure it out. Like I'm not someone who can just there is a lot of moving parts all of the time and it's not the same every day. Like I think that's what makes it very regimented for you is it's pretty much the same every single day. And I would say for most people that's really challenging cuz like my son has ping pong on Tuesdays and I have another kid that has choir on Wednesdays and they have youth on Wednesdays. So all of those variables change every single day. So cold plunging twice a day, why do I want it? Because I feel my best right before bed when I do it. And some nights I have to go, it's 11. I'm not cold plunging in the middle of winter in the snow at 11 p.m. because that doesn't feel like love to my body. So I'm actually going to not do that and I'm going to go the fuck to bed. Like, I'm going to go to sleep because I need the extra rest. I don't need to put more stress on my body. And so but in the past, I've really shamed myself because I didn't hit the metrics. And so I feel like even process based goals sometimes can kind of like suck us down or weigh us down in the wrong direction. And we lose the sense of, we'll say fulfillment or growth, or I don't know. We both hate the word balance, so we should probably touch that. But I think that like the reason why balance has not served so many people, including us, is because most of the time balance is something that is very unattainable. Like to be balanced in all the things means we're out of balance with the things that matter most, right? And you probably have a very different way, like you have words that are different to put to that. But I think that like, yeah, what would be balance is if I could like seamlessly wake up at the same exact time every single day and go to bed this same exact time every single night. And like there's just this whimsical story that I think sometimes in my head when I'm trying to be balanced, and I waste a lot of time trying to achieve that balance. And then lo and behold, the balance isn't actually fulfilling in the first place. So like what does that sound like? Because you have done a great job. Like I think there's always upgrades, but you've done a great job at creating a life that works for you. So
Yeah. There's a lot there. I mean, I think the first piece is like the language around balance, like you said, and kind of alluded to, is um I think that sets us up for failure, right? Balance creates this this illusion of an ecosystem that is where everything gets the same time and energy allocation.
mhm,
And I think so one, that's not realistic. Two, it is my belief that if you actually were to obtain balance, you would massively shortchange yourself in what you're able to accomplish,
mm,
right? Like what that says is that some of the things you care about are getting the same time and energy allocation as some other things that you care less about in your life. And I don't think that that is what we actually want, right? We say we want balance. What we really want when we use that language is we want to feel like we're contributing um, in a way that's impactful to the things that we care most about. We want to feel like we are, you know, filling our own cups as well as like making an impact on others. And that's what's frustrating, is that like when we feel unbalanced, it's because we're not engaged in the things that we want to be engaged in. Um, and I think that the shift is actually, for me, is to recognize that an unbalanced life in terms of time and energy allocation is actually the goal. I'm actually actively pursuing a massive time and energy investment in a few things in my life that I care about, because that's what it looks like to reach my full potential. I don't want to be balanced in my work. If I was, I'd be dropping the ball. I wouldn't
mm,
be showing up in a way that's in alignment with the impact I want to make. I don't want to be balanced in my relationship with my wife. I don't want to give the same amount of time of that to I give to something else that I don't give a shit about. No, like I'm going to go all in. I want to do everything I can. I don't want to be balanced when it comes to my physical health. Like I'm going to give more time and energy to that because it's something that matters to me and it pays dividends and I can see how that shows up in the world. So for me, the language shift is really important because what it does is it relinquishes all the pressure that I put on myself to be balanced, and it allows me the opportunity to go super deep in alignment with my priorities. And that's also why I'm able to say no, because like those things don't get the same time and energy allocation. No, right? Like specifically no if they rob me from being able to go really deep in those areas,
mhm,
right? Like if somebody's like, "Hey, do you want to come out, on Friday night?" Well, maybe, but like, and we're like, relationships are important, like having friends and, like pouring into those things is important, and having community and having social interaction. But like, if that takes from, you know, time for something that I want to work on with work, or if me like staying up later is going to rob me of the time that I give to myself with exercise on Saturday morning, or doing really deep, thoughtful work for my work on Saturday morning, which I typically do, like, then no, right? Then that's what creates the imbalanced scenarios. It's robbing me of something that I care about. Um, and I think for me, in large part, like those are not sacrifices that I'm willing to make,
mhm,
and I just stand really firm in that. I'm just like, people tell me all the time. They're like, oh, you're just like, you don't do anything. You say, like, I do a lot of the shit that I want to do. You just don't. You're just not a part of that,
mhm,
right? like these people that are, at doing like that's not my concern, right? Like that's not, I don't concern myself with like what's, because it robs me of the ability to go deep in the areas that I want to go deep in. So I think that's, from a leadership perspective, I think that I think there's no probably more clearer place where that language is detrimental than when it comes to building and running a business and a team. Because if
Mm,
you are not clear on your priorities and you are not laser focused on the things necessary to accomplish your vision and sell that vision to the people around you in a way that's so compelling that they can't say no, you're not doing your job.
mhm.
Like that's leadership. And so if you're chasing balance, you are inherently off track, right?
To
There is a by nature and design that is pulling you in a direction that's not in alignment with your responsibility as a leader. And I think what we want as leaders, we want that. We want to create those environments, those businesses that make that space obtainable for the people that we are in service of and our team. And that's also like largely why I structure things the way I do, so that I can do the things that are necessary and be clear on the leadership side, because that is something that I care deeply about and I'm very committed to. Um, so yeah, from the like leadership perspective, when we're chasing balance, how have you seen that show up? Like, what's your perspective? Because again, I think it's really interesting. Like, we have very different perspectives here,
Mhm.
and I think honestly, like yours is going to be much more relatable. So I think what's been like, yeah, what's your take there?
Yeah, I think yeah, we like I would say that we align on like the core value of this conversation. How we go about it is very different because even even in like if I was to set my life up like yours is, I'd be so unhappy. I would like die. There's no way. I would be so bored. Like there's no way that I could like it's not even bored. It's like I would just I do my best when I'm like I have change. I don't do super well if it's like the same exact thing. I get like very bogged down if I don't have change. And I think you do too. Like the like travel and stuff that we've like integrated, I think you've done well with. Though like it is challenging, right? Like it's just different. But I think that like it is about non-negotiables and I think that part of it too is I I really struggle or maybe that's not the language, but like my challenge has been loving people well and like understanding. I think that's what gets me in a place where I like overgive or like that balance gets very abstract for me is because if I was to like love everyone the way that they want to be loved, I would be, and like love is my word, like value, respect, integrate a different word, that's fine. Treat people, whatever. If I was to do that in a way that everybody asked me to, I would be like ran to the ground because people ask a lot of me in a lot of different circles. And I think that like no has been I talk about this a lot. Like, no is a full sentence. And I've had to like really lean on that. And when we get to say no to something, we get to say yes to the right thing. So I totally align there. But I think it really shows up in the way that I like show up for people because there's a piece of me that struggles because I want to be a part of like all of the things with people. And when you have so many people in your life, that are demanding lots of time from you, you realize that you just can't show up in a balanced way for all of those people. Like you're saying, like, I don't really want to spend that much time with very many people. Like, I do like change and I do like to see certain people here and there, but like it really has to be, and like I have to look at it and go, is this a life-giving relationship for like on both sides? I think is where I struggle because even, we just got done with Thanksgiving and I'll just be blunt, like we didn't go to the family stuff. And we get a lot of shade for that. But the reality is, I don't like it. I freaking hate it. There's nothing in me. Like it's a shitty food because we're cooking big ass batches of everything. So it doesn't typically taste great. It's usually filled with stuff that I usually wouldn't put in my body. Like none of the like non-negotiables are hit for me. Like it's just not even like it's surface level conversation, which I hate. Like if you know me, you know that like I go into a networking group and I'm like, damn it, ask the like really deep question again. Why did I do that? I just like I don't do well with those conversations. It's like very draining for me to be in an environment where we have to stay like very surface level. And like maybe that's not everybody's family, but it is my family. And like if I ask the hard stuff, they get a little spicy. And it's just not great for me. And so I think that like, there's people who are really disappointed that we said no. And that's okay. But it's actually not love for me to go because they're just going to get mad at me. Like they're just going to be uncomfortable because I ask the hard things and I do the different stuff. And then like I feel judged and they feel shamed and it just doesn't work. And so I've had to realize that like there's certain people that I'm not their cup of tea, and that's okay. And I think that has actually been a really freeing thing for me where I've just stopped wasting time trying to get the wrong people to be comfortable around me. Like, I have wasted so much of my life trying to fit into boxes that I just don't actually even want to fit in. And I think same with our employees. Like, I don't know if anyone can relate, but like, we don't have anyone on the team. Our team listens to our podcast. I'm going to start by saying this. We don't have anyone on our team like this. We love our team. But we've had those team members that were just like, oh, this doesn't work. Like, why? And you just pour so much time and energy trying to coach them and trying to like make them fit into the culture and like, shit, talk about being unbalanced. Like, you just like, I think a lot of times in leadership specifically, we can take the one squeaky wheel that just kind of doesn't fit in, and we're just like literally pour, trying to get them to like shift into the culture and fit. And you're trying to make it work. If you're in that place, like just fucking call it quits. Just be like, things but no things. I don't have to make you wrong. I don't have to be wrong. Just not a good fit. And I think so many times in leadership, we just over pour into the like our weakest links or the people who just slightly don't fit. And it takes from the rest of the team. And I've done it. I've done it in so many seasons. And then you look back at that season and you're like, ugh, that they like leave or you fire them or whatever happens. And you're like, that never worked. And like, why did I give so much time and energy to that? And I think a lot of times we also feel imbalanced or we don't feel fulfilled in the energy that we're delivering because we're giving again to the wrong things, and we're giving from a place where like dumping energy into something that is actually clearly out of alignment, and we just don't want to quit. And I think I've struggled a lot. Sourdough is also one of those things for me right now. Like I just don't want to quit because I really love the final product. Also, I kind of don't have time for it. And I'm like,
No, what a massive waste of time. Go buy some bread, Christine. You got too much on your plate.
I love
Take it from somebody. I went down this road too. I thought that I could be that guy. I'm not. I'm a go to the store and buy the bread guy. That's gonna be me. I can't be. I'm not. We're not those people. It's okay. I've been where you're at, and I can see the other side.
I want to be
You're
that
not. You're not. You're not
like
that person.
mom that delivers fresh bread every single day.
No, that's not you.
You know what's
No,
funny? You know what's funny?
you're the mom that like forgets to put shoes on and like drives your kids to school in the snow. Like you're not a sourdough mom. You're like a I'm running 10 minutes late and like I'm putting my makeup on and I haven't looked at the road in 20 minutes. Like that comes from love. You know that I love you. That's you're not a sourdough mom.
I can be both. I can be baking sourdough and taking the kids to school with no shoes.
No.
And by
No.
be on point because it was done in the great sunlight of the car. Yeah, no, it's
See, this is the balance we're talking about. This is where you should say no to the sourdough so you can make space for the things that you care about. Um,
yeah.
yeah. No, it's interesting. Like the, I think like from the leadership perspective, again, like with Lang, we think about, or I think a lot about the outcome that we want, right? And specific to our audience here and the the places that you and I like to show up and kind of how we think about the world, we are actively trying to do extraordinary things. We're
Mhm.
trying to build businesses that don't exist. We're trying to create opportunities for the people in our teams that don't exist. We're trying to help other businesses and other leaders do things that are outside of the norm. And balance runs in opposition to extraordinary work, right?
Mhm.
Like if you want to be like everyone else, you can't do what everyone else does.
Yeah.
And I think that that is just a massively freeing thing to, if that resonates, if that is you and you are like, I want more. I'm trying to do something different. I think that I can really accomplish my dream and my vision and do this thing, then you better get really, really fucking comfortable with being unbalanced. Because balance is what people have when they're doing ordinary things.
Mm.
And that is a fine thing. Like I think like I genuinely want that for people. That's not my path. It's not your path. And I think to the people that listen to this podcast, it's also largely not their path. And I think balance puts you in opposition to the things that you say that you want most. And the faster that you can come to terms with the fact that balance isn't actually what you want, but you actually want to be fulfilled in chasing the things that you care most about and creating the impact that you're committed to and the thing that you know that you can do, the freer you're going to be. Because I don't want balance. Balance makes me like everyone else. I'm not trying to be like everybody else. I'm not saying I'm special, but what I am saying is I believe that I can do it and I know that I can accomplish it if I focus on the right things.
I think that's the point though, is like when we choose to go all in and like look at the thing and I'm gonna do the corny thing. I am kind of corny. You told me that the other day. I'm kind of corny. I'm gonna do the corny thing.
You keep having like really corny mic drop moments in this podcast, and that it's really a brand that I didn't see coming, but it's clearly like developing.
Like what's happening? But we named our company Impact Initiative because we get people to say I'm in. So when you're able to say I'm in, like I'm going all in, we want our employees, we want our team to say I'm all in, right? I'm in on this thing. I follow the mission, like you're saying, like you're inviting people into our vision. And it is the biggest compliment as a leader that you can have when your team goes, I'm in. I'm going to go all in on this with you. And I love that moment, not because it's my thing, but because we get to do it together. And I think that there's like this, there's life that happens when we're that clear on our genius zone. And like, you are special. Like everyone is special in their own way. The irony of it is that we never go all in. We never get clear enough to go all in where we can be like, I choose not being balanced because I am so obsessed over these things that I'm willing to sacrifice everything else to see these things be achieved. And I think that when we do that, life happens. Like we actually get fulfillment. But the problem is most people don't get clear enough. I like fuzz. Sorry, guys. Most people don't ever get clear enough on their special, on their genius zone, on their impact that they just can't go all in. I think most people want that and they're like, yeah, I would be unbalanced if like I knew what to be unbalanced. I'd be excited about being unbalanced and chaotic if like I knew what it was for. But most people don't know what that means. I use the word conviction a lot. And I love one of our clients like you're convicted to prison? No, I'm not into that. I'm like, no, like convicted, like you're on fire. It's just so funny. Like so many people have these relationships with these words that conviction to me is what makes me obsessed about being unbalanced because I am so fucking convicted to make companies and organizations a place where people get to truly grow and see what they're made of. And I'll go all in on that all day. I'm so convicted to like teach my kids legacy and like pass wisdom over just like financial wealth that I'm willing to be totally unbalanced. And I'm totally okay with that. And it is chaotic. Like Taylor just exposed me. Thank you for that. I am the mom. Like,
The world needs to know that you're not. I'm not going to let you sell yourself as a sourdough mom. I can't let it slide.
I have
The
perfect
world doesn't know you like I know you.
I have perfect hair and perfect sourdough all the time. Okay. No, lie. But I think that like that is actually where fun gets to happen is in the chaos of that. And I think that like it doesn't have to like I'm joking, it doesn't have to look chaotic. Taylor's version of it doesn't look chaotic. Mine does a little bit more. But I like there's also a love with that, right? Like all jokes aside, like there is a love that I just do. I'm also convicted to like try new things. And like usually I'll like try for a second. I'm like, no, not convicted on sourdough anymore. Um but I think it's something that like really breaks my heart. Like it just like irks me. It's the thing. And if you don't have this your thing that you feel like this with, then like let us help like honestly let us help you find it because this is something that's so important to me but like it brings me to my knees to think that like most people don't know the thing that they would be like, I'll do anything to see this happen. I just want every person to be able to look themselves in the mirror and be like, I'm so clear on who I am and what I was created for that all of the balance in the world I wouldn't give it up. Like I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to do it full throttle because I'm so clear and sold out on the value that I'm here to bring to the world that it balance doesn't matter anymore. And like I would say most people go to the grave not knowing that. And also, do you guys, if you haven't done this, you should do it. It's really weird, but it's actually very therapeutic. You guys are finding out I'm very weird. But one of my favorite things to do, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. One of my favorite things to do is go walk around a cemetery and read people's headstones. And like, it's so sad, you guys. It just like breaks me. Like, it's like age, date, blah, like nothing. I'm like, my shit's gonna have a fucking book and a like QR code. Like, hopefully you can go watch my videos and get like a little challenge. Even when I'm in the grave, I hope like 3 people write books after me because of some weird shit I said to them. But like, it makes me so sad. And I think about that all the time. We used to live right next to a cemetery. That was so beautiful. And I'd go walk around it. Not at night. I'm not that weird. In the morning, very early. But like I just think about how many dreams and how many convictions have died and the world didn't get them because we never got clear on what we can be full throttle. We never got clear on our genius zone and like therefore we were just like lukewarm and balanced. And that kills my soul. That's what brings me to my knees is that people live totally mediocre lives and never get clear on the greatness that lies within. And they never go after their dreams because they're so obsessed with balance and comfort. I can't, you guys. That's why I live chaotic. So if you see me taking my kids to school with my makeup brush and no shoes, you know I had a day of impact. So sure, vanilla ass life serves you well, but if you want more, like let's chat because that's like, yeah, that's where I get fired up. I'm so passionate about that. I'm like, oh, like everyone has that fucking genius zone. Like let's find it, y'all. Like let's get in the weeds. Let's like dig it out of you because it's there. Because Taylor's special, but he's not the only one who's special.
If you too want to live a monk-like existence like Taylor Thomas, call me. Yeah. That's great. I love that. That's a strong point to end on. Yeah, like you said, if we can help, and yeah, I mean, seriously, there's so much opportunity, specifically from a leadership perspective, to understand like what your genius zone is, like who are you as a leader, and like how are you uniquely positioned to make that impact within your team, and in doing so, create a business that creates that legacy and carries out your vision. And like, the business is the vehicle that allows you to execute on your vision. And if you're not clear, if you're not fired up, if you're not convicted, that's going to be a really slow moving vehicle, and it's probably going to break down, and it's probably going to leave you stranded. Like, from a leadership perspective, that's the gas that, in the engine. Like, we have to be clear on that, and we have to be unwavering, and we have to be fired up. So yeah, if you don't have the answers to those things, you need support. If you think you have the answers but you have no idea how to apply it, and you're like, yeah, that's all well and good, but what does that mean in my business? How do I do it? How do I tie that into some sort of tactical application to actually get this vehicle up and running at a speed that I'm excited about? That is what we are here for. You can reach out to us at impactinitiative.network, and we would love to hear from you. And we're always open to a free consultation, just to hear you out, get to know one another, see what alignment can look like, how we can support you. So again, that's impactinitiative.network. Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time on Impact Minded.